Hello to all of you, the souls who are passionate about uncovering the wonders of nature. Welcome to the vibrant symphony of the periodic table of elements, where each element holds its own story, its own destined role in this vast universe. If hydrogen, the first element of the universe, is hailed as the element of the cosmos, for it is found everywhere, in the stars, in the first light of the primordial universe, then carbon is the element of life, the pivotal axis that connects every organic compound, every cell, every living organism. But if we had to choose a single element to symbolize power, to embody the latent energy of all matter, then, without a doubt, the name called out would be uranium, the element of energy. Uranium, the only naturally occurring element in the periodic table, capable of sustaining a self-propagating chain reaction, has completely transformed the history of human energy. Each atom of uranium that undergoes fission releases about 200 million electron volts, 200 MeV, of energy, most of it in the form of heat. To give a clearer sense of just how tremendous this energy source is, 1 kilogram of coal can only produce about 8 kilowatt hours of heat. 1 kilogram of oil, about 12 kilowatt hours. But a single kilogram of uranium can release up to 24 million kilowatt hours of thermal energy. An unimaginable number, one that compels the entire world to bow before the power buried within Mother Earth. So, what exactly gives uranium such extraordinary strength? Uranium is a relatively abundant element in the Earth's crust. In fact, it is many times more common than gold and has about the same level of abundance as tin and tungsten. In nature, uranium exists in the form of 3 main isotopes. Uranium-238, accounting for about 99.3%. Uranium-235, making up around 0.72%. And finally, Uranium-234, a mere 0.005%. Their half-lives, the time it takes for half of the atoms of a given isotope to decay, are as follows: 45 billion years for U-238, formatted million years for U-235, and 247,000 years for U-234. With such immensely long half-lives, uranium in its natural state is, in fact, only slightly radioactive and relatively safe to handle. The true power of uranium only awakens when nuclear fission occurs. Fission. One of the most wondrous and intense phenomena in nuclear physics is the process by which the nucleus of an atom splits into 2 or more smaller fragments. These fragments have a total mass that is slightly less than the original nucleus, and that missing mass is converted into a vast amount of energy, precisely in accordance with Einstein's legendary equation, E equals mc squared. Among the uranium isotopes, only uranium-235 can readily undergo fission and sustain a chain reaction. This is the reason why U-235 serves as the heart of both nuclear power reactors and atomic bombs. Including a nuclear reactor, this chain reaction is carefully controlled to produce electricity. In an atomic bomb, the reaction is allowed to proceed uncontrolled, resulting in an instantaneous and devastating release of energy. However, in nature, U-235 is extremely scarce, comprising only 0.72% of natural uranium. Therefore, to harness energy from it, humans are forced to increase the concentration of U-235 through a process known as uranium enrichment. For nuclear plants, uranium is typically enriched to about 4 to 5%. Federal in certain special applications, the minimum required is around 2%. Rallied for atomic bombs, the concentration must reach at least 90% or more, an extremely pure level to ensure that the reaction occurs as rapidly and violently as possible. In nature, aside from U-235, uranium-238, U-238, is by far the most abundant isotope. Although it cannot directly sustain a fission chain reaction, it still contributes significantly to the efficiency of nuclear reactors through various indirect mechanisms. To understand more clearly how these two uranium isotopes function, let us now begin a journey deep into the heart of a nuclear power plant, a place where fission occurs in a highly controlled and precisely engineered manner down to the millionth of a second. The nucleus of uranium-235 consists of 92 protons and 143 neutrons. When a free neutron from the surrounding environment collides with this nucleus, it merges with it to form uranium-236, a structure that is extremely unstable. Almost instantly, this uranium-236 splits apart, breaking into two lighter atoms, releasing 2 to 3 new neutrons, along with an enormous amount of heat, reaching hundreds of millions of electron volts. Depending on the specific case, the fission of U-235 can produce barium-144 plus krypton-90 plus 2 neutrons plus 200 MeV, barium-141 plus krypton-92 plus 3 neutrons plus 170 MeV, tellurium-139 plus zirconium-94 plus 3 neutrons plus 195 MeV. The nuclear fragments produced after fission are all highly unstable, and they will continue to decay through radioactive beta decay chains, eventually forming more stable elements such as xenon-144 or strontium-89. During this entire process, energy continues to be released, along with dangerous radioactive rays. The free neutrons released will continue to collide with other U-235 atoms, triggering a continuous chain reaction known as a chain fission reaction. However, there is a critically important factor. Uranium-235 can only capture slow-moving neutrons, ones traveling at around 10,000 kilometers per hour, which is about 8 times the speed of sound. Meanwhile, the neutrons produced after fission are extremely fast, moving at speeds close to a few percent of the speed of light. Therefore, in order for the reaction to continue indefinitely, you need to slow these neutrons down. And that task is assigned to materials such as graphite or heavy water, known as moderators. In general, this is a spontaneous, self-sustaining process. It only takes a small number of initial neutrons to kickstart the reaction, after which everything continues to spread on its own. When it becomes necessary to halt the reaction or reduce its intensity, control rods made of boron metal are inserted into the reactor to absorb neutrons, thereby cutting off the chain reaction. In addition, boric acid can also be dissolved directly into the cooling water to achieve the same purpose. The fuel used in a nuclear reactor typically contains a line 4 to 5% enriched U-235 and over 90% U-238. Although U-238 does not participate directly in fission, it can absorb fast neutrons, and in doing so transforms into uranium-239. This isotope then undergoes beta decay into neptunium-239, and then further decays into plutonium-239, an element that shares the same fissionable properties as U-235. Pu-239 is capable of capturing slow neutrons, undergoing fission, releasing energy, and sustaining the chain reaction. In this way, U-238 indirectly creates Pu-239, which then contributes up to 30% of the total energy produced inside the reactor. The total energy produced from the fission process is used to boil water and generate steam. The steam then drives turbines to produce electricity. After about 3 to 5 years of operation, the uranium in the fuel rods gradually becomes depleted of U-235. At that point, it can either be reprocessed and enriched again, or if the cost of recycling is too high, the spent fuel will be replaced with fresh fuel, and the radioactive waste will be safely buried in isolated areas far away from populated regions, since the waste contains radioactive elements with decay cycles ranging from a few days to several years. Everything we've just explored describes the controlled fission reaction inside nuclear power plants. But what happens if that process is uncontrolled, as in the case of an atomic bomb? Fission reaction in an atomic bomb, the ruthless mechanism of destructive power. As we've learned, the chain fission reaction inside nuclear reactors is the core process that generates energy. But whereas this reaction is tightly controlled inside a power plant to maintain stability and safety, in an atomic bomb, everything occurs in the complete opposite manner. In essence, both atomic bombs and nuclear reactors operate on the same fundamental physical principle, the chain reaction of atomic nuclei undergoing fission. However, the key difference lies in this. In a power plant, the reaction is regulated and restrained by control rods and neutron-absorbing materials. In an atomic bomb, the chain reaction is driven at an extremely rapid pace without any form of control and is deliberately designed to reach maximum intensity in the shortest possible time. To ensure that nuclear fission reactions within a bomb occur effectively, the first and foremost requirement is that the fissile material must possess an extremely high degree of purity. In civilian nuclear reactors, uranium only needs to be enriched to around 4 to 5% uranium-235. But for nuclear weapons, that number must reach at least 90%. This level of purity is what we call weapons-grade uranium. If plutonium is used instead, it must be high-purity plutonium-239, produced from uranium-238 through specific processes within a reactor. The second key difference lies in the speed of the reaction. In an atomic bomb, the chain fission reaction must occur incredibly rapidly, almost simultaneously across billions of atoms. The goal is simple yet terrifying. The more atoms that fission at the same time and as quickly as possible, the greater the energy released, all within just a few millionths of a second. How is this achieved? First, to reach the critical atomic density, the fissile material is compressed under immense pressure. And to generate that pressure, a smaller explosive device, typically a chemical explosive, is detonated around the outside, forcing the nuclear core inward. This is called the implosion method, commonly used with plutonium bombs. In other words, a bomb is used to trigger another bomb, a cunning yet unimaginably destructive design. But it doesn't stop there. The bomb's outer shell is also lined with a special material, often beryllium oxide. This substance is not only lightweight, but also acts as a neutron reflector, bouncing neutrons that would otherwise escape right back into the core, thereby sustaining the chain reaction and significantly increasing the bomb's efficiency and yield. When the fission process is successfully triggered, just 1 kilogram of uranium-235 or plutonium-239 undergoing complete fission is enough to unleash an energy equivalent to 17,000 tons of TNT, an absolutely staggering number. Most of that energy manifests as intense thermal radiation, forming a gigantic fireball with temperatures soaring to tens of millions of degrees Celsius, far hotter than the core of the sun. Everything, every object, every living being within the radius of that fireball is instantly vaporized, leaving behind no trace whatsoever. Moderately, the explosion also generates violent updrafts, pulling everything from the ground into the sky, forming the infamous mushroom cloud, a chilling emblem of nuclear devastation. At the same time, a massive shockwave radiates outward at supersonic speed, powerful enough to level structures across dozens of kilometers. A tremendous quantity of neutrons and gamma radiation is also released, causing severe cellular damage and acute radiation poisoning. The fireball cools. The vaporized material begins to condense into microscopic dust particles, known as nuclear fallout. These particles are laden with highly radioactive elements, capable of lingering in the atmosphere for weeks, spreading with the wind and rain. Anyone who inhales or comes into contact with them may suffer acute radiation sickness, cancer, or even death. The catastrophic reality of nuclear bombs, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Ertation Gust 6, 1945, the first atomic bomb in human history, codenamed Little Boy, was dropped on the city of Hiroshima, Japan. The bomb contained 64 kilograms of highly enriched uranium-235. However, at the moment of detonation, only about 1 kilogram of uranium actually underwent chain fission, a quantity that may sound small, yet produced a blast equivalent to 16,000 tons of TNT. An area of 11.4 square kilometers at the city center was flattened entirely. Approximately 45,000 people died instantly, while over 30,000 others succumbed in the following 4 months due to severe burns, radiation exposure, and other complications. In the total, 70 to 90% of Hiroshima's buildings were either destroyed or heavily damaged, transforming what was once a vibrant city into a desolate wasteland in the blink of an eye. Just 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, a second atomic bomb, named Fat Man, was dropped on the city of Nagasaki. Unlike Little Boy, Fat Man used over 6 kilograms of plutonium-239, a fissile material with a much higher reactivity. The blast from Fat Man was equivalent to 21,000 tons of TNT, even more powerful than the previous bomb. As a result, 22,000 people were killed instantly, and more than 17,000 others died in the weeks that followed. Over 40% of Nagasaki's structures were completely obliterated. And the power within the nuclear core, both a gift and a grave warning. Lorenzo, is nearly impossible to deny this truth. No invention in the history of mankind has possessed the capacity to annihilate humanity as quickly and completely as nuclear weapons. All that power, all that devastation, stems from the tiny atomic core, from the reactions deep within the heart of the nucleus, where the fundamental forces of nature reveal their most terrifying strength. Radium, that mysterious element, often referred to as a gift from the cosmos, is not a free gift. On the contrary, it is a double-edged sword that humanity now wields. The more valuable it is, the greater the cost, and the more catastrophic the consequences, if misused. What do you think? Is uranium a gift from the universe or a warning from nature itself? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss future science content. Thanks for watching all the way to the end.